In this video, I want to talk about a couple other theories that we should know about. The first one is inside the app folder, you'll see a file called routes. Okay, so if you go to routes, it's a very important folder or file that's in here. It's kind of like the controller of the whole system. Okay, this is where you'll find like the index. So let's just talk about each one of these different routes. There's 3 routes here. The first one is just a regular /. That means like going to the website like brianmarshall.com without putting a file on the end. That's called the root of it. Okay, and that's what this is. And notice we call it index, and it's actually referencing this index.html file. Okay, then we added another route called about. Okay, and that's a / about. If you go to brianmarshall.com / about, this is what's going to happen here. Okay, and then the same thing with animals. Okay, so obviously ChatGPT and Claude know how to access and change this route file, but I just wanted you to give a heads up what this routes file actually does. Okay, so the routes file, you'll put in basic routes here. These are different than blueprints. The blueprints would be kind of like a route, but it's very much more specific. So you notice it's in a route here, but the blueprint, okay, the name of it goes here instead of app. So if we go back to the routes file, it's app, okay? By default, it's app, okay? But when we go to the blueprints file, we will call it what it actually is, and then we'll just attach that blueprint. So it's a way of like segmenting out the code. All right, so we want to talk about what routes is. If your link isn't doing something, it's probably missing a route. And the routes we put in here are like the real basic ones, like animals and about and index. When we start getting into databases and stuff like that, we'll use blueprints. Okay. The next thing I wanted to talk about was Jenga. Okay, so we're going to go into this templates folder. Now, inside app, we'll see a folder called templates. In our templates is where we store all of our HTML files. Okay. The HTML file, we'll just open up, let's say, animals.html. And in this file is made up of pretty much all HTML. Okay, not very dynamic. It won't change. This is a static HTML file, which is why we put it into our routes file. Okay, but there is some interesting non-HTML code in this file. Let's look and see if we can identify some. Okay, so right off the bat, all of this looks like basic HTML until we come down here to line 42 and we see this curly bracket, and then 2 more curly brackets. This is called Jenga. Okay. I think it's actually J-I-J. So Jenga. Okay. Jenga. Anyway, this curly bracket tells Python and Flask that that's where we're going to put some code. So this says wherever it is, grab the index file, the index route, and put the URL for the index route. Okay. If you come up here and look at it, this is how we give it the code. Again, Jenga code. This identifies this whole area here as the block. So that is called Jenga code. Okay. And this is how we were able to make the whole website look the same, or extend certain things, or pass variables into HTML code. Okay. All right, with Jenga. Okay. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was this templates folder, which we kind of already talked about. That's where you put all the HTML files. Okay. It's just right into templates. Okay. All right. So we talked about the route, Jenga, and templates file in this simple video.